Well, today I am so thrilled to have Chocolate Thunder with me today. And Chocolate, this is not your first time on my show. This is actually your second. And I met you at CVS, wasn't it?
CVS at East Lyme.
East Lyme, just waiting in line. I think I was getting the shingles vaccine, and you were getting some medicine. I just saw you, and we just started talking.
You sure did.
So here you are again, and you've been doing some world tour, world traveling. Tell me what's going on.
So I'm just completing my 2021 24-city worldwide bodybuilding tour.
Slow down, slow down. 24-city worldwide bodybuilding tour.
Correct.
24 cities. Oh, wow.
24 cities. And it's been a task because of COVID. Some of the venues got canceled, so you had to reschedule them. Some of the things it was just crazy trying to reschedule some of these things. And then there's other artists that wanted to actually have these venues because of the ventilation system that we chose. It made the air go out versus recirculating the air.
So your safety was a big concern to
Safety
start
was a
off
big
with.
concern for myself and, of course, for the fans and the companies and corporations that I do for corporate events. So that was very challenging.
24 cities. So where did you go from coast to coast, or your hopscotch?
So what we tried to do was like 6 events and then come back home, and then do 3 events, come back home. It all depended on the venue, if the venue was still available, because we try to plan this a year in advance.
Oh.
So when we try to plan it a year in advance, it's set, but it's not really set because things could happen.
Of course.
COVID could happen. I will tell you, going to Ireland and going to Australia is easier than going to Montreal.
Really?
Because Montreal, you have to get permission from the State Department. You have to get, it takes like 4 months, and then you have to make sure the venue's still available there, and you have to get a venue the size of the Olympic Stadium that's in Montreal in order to socially distance 900 people. So that's tricky as well.
Sure.
So all of that is tricky, but an amazing time, great people, a lot of political talk.
What are people saying? What's the buzz?
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay,
It's good.
I just can't wait to get to
it. Oh,
it.
it's really, really good. Oh, it's good. I don't know if you know, but today we had 2 suicide bombings at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. Yeah, so that's a little tricky. There was 3 people were killed and 15 people were injured. So we're gonna have to work on that. That's a topic also that we'll touch on. I do want to give a congratulations to my buddy Brian Wright. He is now the police chief in New London.
Yay!
And congratulations, Brian.
Yay, Brian.
I will be in touch. I couldn't make it to his swearing in because I was on tour out in Las Vegas, and I just wasn't able to do it.
Beautiful.
I rushed back and came. I saw my barber, Matthew Cruz from Juan's Barbershop. He makes me look like this. So I have to give him props like that because when I go out on tour, Matthew is the man. If you go see him, tell him I sent you, but he's amazing.
Well, and I just said, hey, you look gorgeous.
Oh,
Hi,
it's
handsome. When I walked in, I was just like, whoa.
He does an amazing job because I'm a nightmare without him.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so. But when I saw you, I was like, Thunder, you look bigger.
I am bigger. I started a new program that I'm going to release to people that do personal training with me to make your chest grow and your arms grow bigger. My chest is now 70.5 inches and my arms are 32.75 inches.
And what were they last time I saw you?
I don't even remember the stats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it keeps moving every time. But what I encourage myself to do is every 2 weeks I measure so you can see what's working, what's not working, if you're stagnant. And it's all about keeping your routine, because some people go, I'm giving up, I'm tired. Never give up. Don't give up. There isn't. Especially, there was a lot of COVID stories with people that lost a lot of weight during COVID. And they had a montage of them. And these people put that good use to time. They were working from home, but in the meantime, they were actually doing, on the off time, they were doing exercises for themselves, little things, like maybe they would start out with 3 sit-ups a day. By the end of the week, they did 5 sit-ups a day. And it just kept progressing and progressing. And I really have to give those people props for doing that, just to do something positive and something healthy.
Absolutely, because it was a pandemic and it was a crisis
for
everybody.
It is, and we may have a little bit more of that. It may get a little worse before it gets better. But, you know, we as Americans need to be able to be flexible.
Absolutely.
A lot of people aren't flexible. They don't want to hear things that they don't want to do.
Right.
Look, you have to eat your vegetables. You have to wear a seatbelt. No one wanted to wear a seatbelt when they first, I'm not doing it. We got used to it. You wore your seatbelt.
Right.
That was to help you in case you got in an accident. As it progressed, we said, oh, you know, we need to add airbags because the seatbelt does work, but adding airbags help even more.
Right.
So with the COVID, getting the vaccine helps you through COVID.
Now, you were on a COVID ward, or you had some experience in a
So
hospital.
I was on a plane.
Okay.
I was actually in South Dakota, and then I went to Las Vegas, and for about 3 weeks, I felt a little winded. I didn't know I really honestly didn't know what was going on. So I did notice it when I went through the airport. Had my luggage, and I go, kind of having a hard time breathing.
Yeah.
Didn't worry about
It
it.
shouldn't be hard for you to carry your suitcase.
And so 5 days went by. I'm in Las Vegas. Like the last day, I felt like really winded. I got to the airport, and I literally walked into the airport and couldn't walk anymore. So instead of the airport in Las Vegas saying, hey, let's take him to the medical ward, they said, hey, let's wheelchair him to the plane. So they did. So they wheelchaired me to the plane. And when they did, I got on the plane 30 minutes in. The flight attendant came over and said, would you like something to drink? And I said, no, I think I probably want some oxygen instead. So me being medically trained, I got up, I opened the oxygen, I assembled it all, and I put the oxygen on.
Right.
So I did the whole flight from Las Vegas, and they diverted to Baltimore. So Baltimore, the police were waiting, paramedics, ambulance, everything. They actually took me off the plane. I went down on the runway underneath an American Airlines plane, underneath a Frontier airline, on the stretcher, into an ambulance, to the hospital in Baltimore.
Oh my God.
So I got into Baltimore, and while I was in there, the guy that came in, which I spoke to him about it later on, he go, oh, yeah, he's got COVID. I'm like, what do you mean? I just walked in the door, COVID. Like every answer was COVID, COVID, COVID. So they did 2 tests. They did the first test, negative. It was the long test, the long one. Oh, do it again. So the next one was, oh, negative. They go, but you do have a little bit of fluid in your lungs. You got a little pneumonia. So what we're going to do is at this hospital, we treat everyone that has any symptom of a COVID. You're going to be COVID, non-COVID. So you're going to be on a non-COVID floor, COVID. So they had to push me through the COVID ward where anyone that doesn't want to get the shot should visit a COVID ward. Everyone on a ventilator, family members crying, hysteria everywhere to get to where they were taking me. So I got to see it firsthand, what was going on, how this happened. And it is something for people that don't want to get the shot, you need to go to a COVID ward, or you need to watch a video of a COVID ward.
Is that available? Is there any way that
I don't know if it's available.
Because
but
you couldn't take a film of it.
No,
so.
you have to get permission in order to do something like that, especially if it's children involved. So what I'm doing, my part is my staff has reached out to the governor's office and to the president, and we volunteered to do COVID PSAs.
Nice.
So we're still waiting back and trying to coordinate what we're going to do. I've done them before for other events and stuff. Where are we looking? This way?
Yeah.
Looking this way. If you have not gotten the COVID shot, you need to get the COVID shot. You need to discuss it with your family because you not only put yourself at risk, you put your family members at risk. And when you're telling people to unmask our children, you know what's worse than unmasking your children? Carrying a child's coffin. A child's coffin is this big. When your child dies because of COVID and you did not want to get the shot, you can never go back from that. You just can't go back from that. Give it some thought. I'm not trying to put my ideas on you. I'm just saying think about it and give it some real thought.
Wow, you gave me goosebumps.
Oh, it's real. For the people that are out there saying, oh, it's not real, it's this and that. I work for the American Red Cross, Charter Oak Division in Uncasville, Sue Rochester Boland. She does an amazing job.
Good
She
for
does an
her.
amazing job. Like we had to sort of during COVID, if we had to do sheltering, what they did was they got empty hotels and put everyone in a hotel. So you were in a room versus a big room where you can't control masking. You didn't know where people had COVID, not COVID, who got a shot. You can't ask people. So everyone went into a hotel room. The hotels profited. We were safe, so the hotel room would say 2. So we knew 2 people, 2 family members were in there, or 2 people. So we would feed that way. We would bring the food. They would take the food and then put the food back out so people wouldn't get exposed and exposure would be low. It's little things like that that you have to think about. I know the arts here in Connecticut are suffering.
Yes.
I'm a member at the Cate, the Katharine Hepburn Cultural
Art
Center in
Old
Old Saybrook.
Saybrook,
And
yes.
if you get a chance, support the arts. Go to the Katharine. I had pictures, but I didn't get a chance to load them up for this show. I will try to do it next time. To go to the Cate. A lot of interesting things happen at the Cate. There's a lot of networking there. A lot of people you wouldn't even expect to see will just walk right by you. I walked in with my buddy Gilbert Godfrey, and then there was all these other people. He had called. I went up, and everything was just amazing to go out there. So now they're back open. They're socially distancing, and they're aligning the chairs in specific ways, but they are open.
It's a lovely venue, too.
The venue is very nice, and they have a lot of outside things. They have a lot of outside events where they have wine, if you participate in drinking wine, and they come in, and what people do is they sample their local wine, their wineries here. So they just come in.
They support local businesses.
They absolutely do. The Red Fin down the street, and it's just a great. Just looking at it, just makes me so happy to know, hey, for at least an hour and a half, I can get away from this COVID craziness that seems to be happening.
Well, it's fatigue. I think everybody's really tired of it, and I thought, we kind of thought we were through the worst of it, and now we're gearing up, ramping up, getting the kids back in school, and it's all about getting them masked and all the social distancing that we need to continue to do and to provide safety.
I will. You know who I need to congratulate? Mohegan Sun. Mohegan Sun Tribal Nation, 2 thumbs up because I got my COVID vaccine there.
And that's where I got mine.
And what happened was the military did it. It was so well constructed the way they did it. Everyone was nice. They just moved you in. You gave your name. You went to the next section. You got your shot. You stayed in the room for 15 minutes. Out the door you went.
Efficient.
I can't say enough how people in the community really appreciated Mohegan Sun. So return the favor. If you're in the area, go to Mohegan Sun.
Exactly.
Put some money back into their pockets.
Exactly.
They did a really good job there, and
Pfizer too.
Oh, Pfizer's so I used to work at Pfizer many years ago.
Know that.
So I got the Pfizer shot.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I got the Pfizer shot, and I went. And I encourage everyone to get the Pfizer. People that are on the fence, I talk to them about it, and I go, listen, here's your pluses and minuses. And I realize everyone's saying, oh, it was rushed, it was this and that, this side effect's happening, that side effect's happening. Listen, when you have a new vaccine or you have anything that is new, things like this will happen.
Absolutely.
Do you think when they got the shingles vaccine or they had the polio vaccine that none of this happened? Some of us just weren't around to see all of this happen. We just didn't know when the things came out, when the flu vaccine came, that some people in the population did have a reaction. The pluses outweigh the minuses overwhelmingly.
Absolutely.
People just need to, some people aren't getting the shot out of spite. They're just not getting it out of spite for whatever reason. They're like, I'm not getting the shot because they're telling me to. Okay, well, you can do that, but your next thing may be death because you can't get the shot while you have COVID. You have to have it already in your system. So you can make a decision, but don't not get it because of spite.
Right.
Or say, I'm a conservative and I'm not getting it, because that's a lot on TV. They have people that are in the actual COVID ward and they ask them why they didn't get it, and they say, I'm a conservative and I didn't want my family. I don't know how that plays into death. Death has no political affiliation.
Exactly.
You need to get a shot that's appropriate for you. Get a shot that's appropriate for you. So back to my tour. So I'm on tour.
Okay.
And so I'm on tour, and I literally am going all kinds of places. Vermont, Maine. I have a place in Maine, so I stayed there for a couple of days. And I get to go to this little town and scare the townspeople when they see me coming. And I just go in and stuff. It's so funny. Oh, we go inside, and they have like a little eatery where there's a bar/restaurant, and it's just a little watering hole, like the TV show Cheers. Everyone knows everyone. And they talk about different things, because Maine, is like, I think it's number 2 in the COVID
Safety.
Correct. So I think it's Vermont, Maine. I think we're number 3 or 4. Massachusetts might fall in there somewhere.
Okay.
So they're happy to do whatever is recommended by science.
Right.
That's why they're number 2.
Right.
They have started going back to some COVID hours, so they're open 11 to 5, like a CVS, a Kentucky Fried Chicken, Taco Bell.
Okay.
One, because of staffing. So instead of it being slow, we're just going to tell you we're going to be open 11 to 5. We're going to be honest with you. We don't have the staff. We're going to be open 11 to 5. Our CVS and Niantic may be going, and East Lyme may be going back to COVID hours because they don't have the personnel to fill the store. Last week, I believe it was 3 times they closed at 5 because they just don't have the staffing.
Well, and they pay minimum wage.
They do.
Most
They
of
pay
these things, and minimum wage, who can live on that? I mean,
Correct.
Really.
And I get that, and I understand that people would rather stay home and collect or go to a job that pays $15 or more versus working. But at the same time, you can't not need medication. You have to be able to get your medication.
Absolutely.
So they have to figure it out somehow. I happen to have the luck of being in Miami on tour when Cuba decided they were going to shut off everybody's internet.
Oh, gee.
So they shut off everybody's internet. I was in Little Havana because that's where the Airbnb, where my staff had booked me. And everyone came out picketing and rioting. Just great. Nothing like, oh, we're going to burn down. Why are you going to burn CVS down so you can't get medication? That makes no sense at all.
It makes no
If you
sense.
want to burn something, burn your house. Start with your house and have at it.
Yeah.
So they had celebrities and stuff. We all had to go out in the community and talk to people because people were angry. So it was a sympathetic protest for what was happening in Cuba. But it was a crazy 3 days because I was gone on the 4th day. I actually stayed 5 days, but it didn't happen till a couple of days when I was there. So I got to see that.
You've been seeing a lot, yeah.
Yeah, which was interesting. So the political climate around the United States is everyone's happy with the political climate. There are some things people can be more aggressive with. I think the pullout in Afghanistan had to happen at some time. I think in most police scenarios, in every law enforcement scenario, you leave a certain amount of people and you slowly withdraw. See how it goes. If it's going good, you slowly withdraw again. Have people on standby somewhere in case something goes south. So I think that one of the things that it's not that we didn't get it right. This is the first time we've ever done something like this that every other president before this president did not want to do. It went south quickly. And I think the intel community, as the Taliban started advancing towards Kabul and saw all these little communities getting gobbled up, not just us as Americans, why do we always have to play international police?
Right.
It should be everyone's involvement. Everyone should be there on the scene. Everyone should be helping. Germany, England, this, that. Don't let it fall back on America.
Right.
They expect us to lead, but you also have to have some people that follow us also. So it's everyone's responsibility, not just us.
I agree.
And so
20 years is a long time for us to have been investing in all of that.
So
you're going to take your hat off?
So you had 20 years to get it right. They let them do it for 20 years. You had 20 years of training. What happened in the 20 years? People were getting trained, and within 20 days, it was done. It was over. After we left, 20 days later, it was all done. So I don't understand how that rapidly, one, that could have happened. And two, when the advancement started, England, Germany, I don't care if Australia sent someone, New Zealand, Iceland, they should have sent people to say, hey, we need to push these people back. This isn't going to work. That would have been an automatic indicator that it wasn't working when they started taking over communities. Before they said, hey, they reached Kabul. It's too late now. They're already there.
Right.
You can't do anything once they're there. So that's a big issue. It's just a mess. But I see a lot of armchair analysts that sit in their chair at home, scream and yell at the TV, and they're not doing anything. They're not actively involved in the community. They're not getting out there to help in the community. They're not doing anything. Everyone wants to blame, but and I ask people that, how does this affect you and what are you proactively doing to stop it?
Great answer, or great question. You know?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that we need to do. Like if it's the environment, like are you composting? Do you recycle? Like are you doing all the things that you can possibly do within your power? And then encouraging other people to follow in your footsteps and do those same kinds of things.
And it's hard to get people to do that because they're so used to having everything just given to them through the TV. The TV tells them something, they respond, but they don't actively get up and move their legs to do something.
Right, and that's why we need more public service announcements,
correct.
right?
Yep, absolutely. And as soon as I get this thing settled with the governor's office and in Washington, D.C., I'll be doing my part like I've always done my part. It just takes a second to get on TV to say, here's the pros and cons, decide what's best for you, this is the direction we're going, do you want to join us? Because if you don't want to get a vaccine, which I can understand there's some medical reasons and things like that, but if you don't want to get a vaccine and you're able to get the vaccine, at least wear the mask.
Exactly.
Because we have people going into the store that I know aren't vaccinated. They get out and say, I'm never getting the vaccine. They get to the store, it says, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. If you haven't been, you have to wear a mask. They walk right in. So there's really no way to control that because you were brought up to be honest. You were brought up to be honest and tell the truth. Some people don't do that. So when they're going into Target and to Walmart, into all these different places, and they're not wearing a mask, they're putting everyone at risk, including the employees that are inside of Walmart.
And and it's just a debacle.
It
so
is.
You were on a plane recently, and were people wearing masks on the plane?
Okay, so I had 4 instances, and I always tell everybody on the plane, because I remember this since 9/11, I tell people on a plane, listen, if I fall asleep and something happens, wake me up. I don't care if you have to slap me in the face, get me up, I will wake up.
Right.
So I'm laying there, and this guy pokes me, and I said, yeah, he goes, something's going on up front, in front of the plane. So I jumped up, but I was still seatbelted. I was like, ah! So I couldn't get up. So I got seatbelt up, and I ran up there, and there was a woman arguing with a flight attendant. I said, hey, what's going on? And the flight attendant said, she refuses to wear a mask. So what they're doing is they're waiting 40 minutes into the flight, and then they make the announcement, I'm not wearing a mask, like that. And they sit back down. So I went up there, I go, is there gonna be a problem here? Because if there's gonna be a problem here, we're gonna have a problem. Are you wearing the mask? She goes, oh yes, I'll wear it. So she puts it on, but for the rest of the flight, I'm your seatmate, because now I'm sitting with you. So the person sitting next to her had to get up and go sit in my seat. I'm sitting with you for the rest of the flight. I don't want to hear anything about a mask not being worn. I don't want to hear anything about shoe bombs. Wake me up. I will be up there. So it happened 3 other times.
Oh my God.
He woke me up and said, what's going on? So I don't know, and the guy, he goes, I'm not wearing this mask. I go, listen, when you bought this ticket, now you have to check a box saying that you're gonna wear the mask.
Yeah.
So it says it on there that you have to wear the mask. I go, if you're not gonna wear the mask, then we have a problem. What are we doing? He goes, I guess I'm gonna wear the mask. I go, okay, sir, you need to get your stuff and you go back to seat number 7. I'm gonna sit here for the rest of the flight. I have no problem doing it whatsoever. I don't know what the deal is with the air marshals, what happened to that whole program. I know it happens worse on Frontier. The worst is Spirit. Spirit, it's almost like UFC fighting. You bought a ticket to go fight on a plane because they fight constantly on Spirit Airlines. I have no idea why, but they do. And when they're complaining, oh, our flight, you paid $39 for your ticket on Spirit. What did you think was going to happen? I go, seriously, what did you think was going to happen? So I think I don't think the flight attendants should be at any risk at all.
No.
It's not their job. They didn't go to any special training. They are now just for basic protection of themselves, to not break up fights. They're not referees. That's not their job.
Well, usually they're very slight people and not necessarily, they're not bodybuilders by any stretch of the imagination.
Correct. And when they know I'm on the plane, they generally announce I'm on the plane when I come on the plane because they know who I am. A lot of people follow me. We have 6.6 million digital and social media followers. So they know who I am when I come on the plane. And they know my stance on nonsense. I don't do nonsense well. I don't at all. We all need to be somewhere at a certain time. We need to not be diverted. And in a heartbeat, if someone calls, I'm up there immediately because it could evolve into something else. I don't want someone trying to open the door. I don't want someone, it's a volatile time that we're living in now, but we inherited this volatile time from the last administration, where it was okay to go out and harm other people, where people didn't respond when other people harmed other people.
Or just be ugly, or just be mean.
Correct, or they were the instigator of starting things that made ugly people.
Right.
So now we inherited that. So in America, it seems like we're slowly getting away from that, but it's gonna take some time for us to evolve back to the superpower and
just be nice, right?
Yes.
Be nice.
And I said that to so many people. I go, just choose kindness.
Exactly.
I go, choose kindness and don't always react immediately. Give yourself a second to think about.
Breathe.
Yeah, and
Breathe,
people don't want to do that. They immediately just want to start fighting and start screaming. And we have we have a thing where in law enforcement, people that end up in affairs with prisoners or inmates or something like that, it's called being harakad. Oh, they harakad that person. Oh, they harakad them. They just don't want to behave. And there's
I don't know
people,
what that means.
It's a term that we use for people that that people that just don't want to comply.
Right.
They don't want to do the job. They want to do their own thing.
Like little rebel
Yes,
rousers.
yeah, absolutely.
Harakad,
Or somebody that has inappropriate things with other people. So we don't, as Americans, we shouldn't have to put up with that.
Right.
We just should not have to put up with that.
So what do you think we do? Just like time out, or?
I think we need to reevaluate things. We don't need to defund the police. We need
No.
to.
I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying, like, there is an environment I think that we have in our country and world today where people are being very rude and very unkind.
Yeah. And I think one of the problems is this whole defunding police. We don't need to defund police. We need to
reimagine.
Yes, we absolutely do. And maybe there's additional training that may be needed. And maybe there's some people that are bad apples, because there are in every single job.
Absolutely.
And we need to see who those people are, and we need to take care of that problem. That brings back the trust to the police department.
Absolutely.
Because people are yelling, I want to defund the police. And as soon as their house gets robbed, they call the police.
Yeah,
it makes absolutely no sense.
And who comes? Right.
The police. So it makes absolutely no sense. So you want your cake and eat it too. You're not. You're going to eat your cake and you're not going to be able to eat it because somebody stole your food from your house. Your house got robbed.
Yep.
I think one thing with people, I think people need to know their neighbors. I think people need to know other people, cultures, religions, things
and
like that.
Respect them.
And they need to respect them. They don't have to agree with it, but they just need to respect the people that are different from them.
Absolutely.
And it's not as prevalent as it was before. When I was growing up, and we had the police used to come and shut down the street, and we would have a block party, and all the people would come outside and everything, and it was the best thing ever. Now people live next to each other for 15 years. They don't even know who these people are. They don't know who they are. They're like, is so-and-so home? I don't know their name. I don't know where they are. It just seems that everyone's in a texting world. Nobody wants to talk to anybody. And if you try to get somebody to call on a phone, it's like an act of Congress. Oh, call me. Oh, I'd rather just text. And so I think,
like when I had the chance to talk to you the other day, it was just like so good to hear your voice. Like so good to hear your voice.
It's so active. My life this year has been really, really active, only because of the rescheduling and things like that. But then, too, I meet a lot of people on the road, and everything has just been. And I was sitting at home, and I'm like, how is Catherine doing? Let me give her a call and see how she's doing and see what's been going on with her.
Oh, hey, it's just so good to see you again. And I'm sure you said that you were in Las Vegas or something.
I was in Las Vegas 4 times this year already.
And it was so hot.
It was 115. It really was 115. I was at the pool. It felt like it was 70 degrees because it was like 56 doors up. But 2 towns over, it was 135, and I think it was Death Valley, and the siding was melting on the side of the house. Like cake batter, it was coming straight down the house, blah, 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 blah. And they're showing it on TV, and a guy said, hey, I called my insurance company, and he said, it's an act of God, we're not covering you. And so it just, the whole global warming thing, clearly, it's absolutely horrible. And we can see the cycles of seasons are later and longer, and these things are happening that never happened before. Global warming is real, and we need to address it.
It's real.
We need to address it.
And we need more people respecting and accepting each other, diversity, equity, inclusion, all of that. Wearing your mask, being safe, being kind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we have little clones of you around?
Absolutely. I just can't wait until we're more towards normal than anything. I'm in a safe town, East Lyme PD. Thank you very much. They do an amazing job. So we don't really see a lot of this, but on tour, I see a lot of the hate and a lot of the just people refusing to get along, not because they can't, they just choose not to.
And we just have to just model that, encourage that, do that as much as possible.
Absolutely. And I think it starts in the house. It starts in the house, and it goes to your workplace. If you're still working inside versus working from home, and just learn to get along with each other. You don't have to agree with the person, just get along with them. That's all I'm saying. Exactly.
Well, thank you so much.
It was great talking to you too, and great seeing you.
My pleasure.
My pleasure. My God, I can't wait till next time. Oh, this is amazing.